Hey guys, welcome to A Little Bit of Monica. I am Monica, and I am so excited because it is time for Halloweekend week 3. For anyone who does not know what Halloweekend is, this is a month-long readathon that takes place in October, created and hosted by Lexi from Books with Lexi. It's such a good time, and we are now going into week 3, and I am so excited for these books that I am reading because I'm trying something a little bit different this weekend, and it's either gonna work or it's gonna fall apart completely, but I am ready either way. So with that said, let's get into my TBR for this weekend. So starting off, my first book is going to be the book I'm reading for the anticipated reads prompt, and that is We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. This book is an anticipated read of mine simply because I've heard so many people talk about how good it is, and I love Grady Hendrix. I have liked or loved every single thing I've read from him so far. He has not let me down. And because of that, I am so ready and eager to read this book, mostly because earlier in the summer, I went to a book event where I met Grady Hendrix, and I went with Lexi, and she had just finished reading this book, and she said it's her new favorite Grady Hendrix book, and that was enough for me to want to read it myself. So I am very excited to read this. What's different about it from normal is that I have almost no idea what this book is about. And I always look up books and movies before I read or watch them. Like, I need to know what I'm getting into before I start it. And with this book, I literally have no idea. I know it has something to do with music. I think it's like a lead guitarist of a band or something. And there's a blood on the guitar pick on the cover. And I think there's another cover version of it that has a guy with like a silhouette of like a rock star kind of image. So I know it has something to do with like maybe a rock band or a metal band or something. But I have no idea what's going to happen in this book. Like, genuinely no idea. And so I'm going in pretty well blind to the plot. And again, I don't do this very often. I like to know what to expect when I'm going into a book. But it should tell you how much I anticipate this book by the fact that I'm reading it having no idea what it's about. So Grady Hendrix, please don't let me down. I have a lot of faith in you for this. So I have the physical copy of We Sold Our Souls, but I also have the audio right now. I'm pretty sure it expires like at the end of the weekend. So I have to make sure that I read this pretty soon. And now the second book that I'm reading for this weekend is going to be my book for the prompt of Match a Monster. So the way we did this is Lexi provided a spinning wheel that you clicked the button, you spun the wheel, and it selected a monster. I know some of the other options, I know there's like witches and ghosts and things like that. The monster that I spun was skeleton, and when I first saw this, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. My brain went blank, and I could not think of a single thing that had to do with skeletons. Now, this can be kind of flexible. It could be a skeleton in the story. It could be a skeleton on the cover. It could be that the book is the same color as a bone because bones and skeletons. It could have something to do with a skull. Like, it's open to interpretation, but my brain simply didn't interpret anything. Like, it went blank. So I went to Discord and I went to the chat and I asked for suggestions on what to do for the skeleton read. And I was given 2 suggestions, both of which I want to read. So originally I put on my TBR, I put Autumn Crow by Cameron Chaney. And I still want to read that book, but that one's on Kindle Unlimited, and I knew I would have access to that because I have KU right now. However, I did put a hold on the ebook and the audiobook on Libby for Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher, because I was also told that this one would fit for this prompt. And I didn't know if I would be able to get those holds in time because you never know how long a Libby hold is really going to take. So I had Autumn Crow as my backup, which became my main one because I knew I could do it. However, my holds for both the audio and the ebook came in about 2 or 3 days apart from each other for Nettle and Bone. And so I am going to read that one this weekend because they expire at the end of the weekend. And we're going to see where this one goes. Now, here's the fun thing is I absolutely have no idea what this book is about either. Like, I got nothing. So just like We Sold Our Souls, I am going in like relatively blind to this. I know there's something about like, I think the main character has to achieve like 3 different tasks or something, and one of the tasks involves something with bones, and that's why it fits in with the prompt. That's like all I know about this story. So I'm really hopeful that this is gonna work out and it's not going to bite me in the butt. I have read a T. Kingfisher book before, so I do kind of know a little bit of what to expect, but I think I only gave it 3 stars. We read The Twisted Ones for the Pyramid Book Club a number of months ago. I don't even remember when it was. And I'm pretty sure I gave it 3 stars, maybe 3 or 4. And so like it was not the best. Like I didn't love it. So I'm a little bit like nervous to read another T. Kingfisher. However, I did not hate The Twisted Ones enough to not read another book by them. I'm gonna give this one a shot and we'll see where it goes. But I literally have no idea what I'm getting into with this, so that's fun. And the third book that I will be reading for this weekend is There's No Way I'd Die First by Lisa Springer. Now this one was also included on my last TBR for week 2 because I have the ebook. I actually had an e-arc from a while ago and I never got around to reading it, but I do want to read it now. And I started it last weekend and I made it to about like 10%. And I just didn't have a chance to get past that. I will say I didn't like get into it super strong, and that's part of why I didn't get around to finishing it, because I had a couple other things I needed to finish first. However, I do really love the concept and I want to see it through to the finish, so I'm going to be trying to read this one as well. This book follows a young woman who is a horror movie fanatic. She plans a big Halloween party and she invites a clown to come. I don't know why people enjoy inviting clowns to things or like hiring clowns. Like, what do you want out of it other than like them to be horrifying? But anyway, she invites this clown to her party, and then I guess the clown is going to be unleashed and start to kill people at her party. And she, being the horror movie fanatic that she is like, I'm good, I got this, I can handle this. I don't think that she can, but we're gonna see what happens. I, again, did not make it very far. I think they were still like planning the party when I stopped reading it during week 2. So I'm gonna pick up where I left off with that one and get through that, and I'm really excited to finish because I know a couple other people who are reading it as well. So that one is my third book for this weekend, and so far I have kept up pretty well with reading 2 full books each weekend. I don't want to put too much more on my plate because I don't want to be too ambitious, so I'm gonna stop with 3. However, if I do have enough time and get around to a 4th book, I would be reading Autumn Crow by Cameron Chaney, which was my other book to fit the skeleton monster prompt. I have no idea what that book is about either, so I will be pretty blindly reading that too if I get around to it, but we will see, because I don't anticipate getting through 4 books for the weekend, but you never know. Honestly, it could happen, so we'll see where I go. I am so excited to read these books because this is going to be kind of like a new experience for me because I'm so used to knowing what the books are about when I go into them. I don't know what to expect with this reading experience for this weekend, so this is going to be a wild time and I can't wait for you to come along with me while I find out what these books are about. Let's go. Okay, this was unplanned, so this was actually not part of my original TBR, so not great planning on my part. However, I am starting off week 3 of Halloweekend by reading the 6-part creature feature collection that is available on Kindle Unlimited, and so I have the ebook and the audio on Audible through KU. My KU free trial runs up on the 13th. So I am reading this on the 12th. I'm gonna try to breeze through all of these creature features before I lose access to them. This was a very last minute decision, but I really wanted to read these. So I'm going to be reading all 6, starting with The Pram by Joe Hill, then Ankle Snatcher by Grady Hendrix, It Waits in the Woods by Josh Mallerman, In Bloom by Paul Tremblay, Best of Luck by Jason Mott, and Big Bad by Chandler Baker. I don't know a single thing about any of these, which does in fact fit with the rest of my TBR for this weekend, so like it works really well. So I'm gonna go in 100% blind, not knowing anything at all about any of these short stories, and we're gonna see what I think of them. So I will keep you updated as I read through these. I'm gonna breeze through them so fast because I'm listening at like 3 times speed and they're super short. So I anticipate being able to get through most, if not all of them today, hopefully. And yeah, I'm excited to read these because I know a lot of people have been reading them recently and I have no idea what they're about, but they're going to be short and it's going to be great. So let's get started. I just finished reading the first creature feature The Pram by Joe Hill. This short story is about a couple who moves into a house and are going to discover the secrets of where they're moving, what's going on around them. They borrow a baby carriage, a pram, from the local like grocery store slash country store, and the husband begins to experience some very weird things with this pram, and it's a weird story. I will say, like, most of it was a little bit less exciting. The ending really picked up, and when everything is revealed of like what's going on, it was really good. I gave this 4 stars. It was a good read, very short. It wasn't like, it didn't have me super engrossed for like the whole thing. The ending was where it really picked up and I loved it. But yeah, it was a good story, and I think it's interesting to see how the story built. And I'm a big fan of stories where like someone moves into a new house and they don't know what they're getting into, and that's exactly what this was. So like, it was good, and I'm ready to move on to the next one, which is going to be Ankle Snatcher by Grady Hendrix. I love Grady Hendrix, so I am really looking forward to this. All right, I just finished Ankle Snatcher by Grady Hendrix, and I loved this short story. It took me like 20 minutes maybe to listen to because of the speed I was listening at, and so it was super, super quick, but also I loved it. I mean, Grady Hendrix has not let me down yet, and this was no exception. I loved this. But even if it wasn't Grady Hendrix, I still loved the story. I mean, this story is a lot about the boogeyman, and essentially you learn right from the beginning that the main character, Marcus, his father, was arrested and imprisoned for murdering his mother. And so he's kind of like lived in the shadow, and then he's on a date and something very weird happens to his date. In the middle of the night, she gets dragged under the bed, ankle snatched. And I love the way this he has that realization of like, I turned out like my dad. We don't necessarily know exactly how much like his dad he is, but this story is like so interesting. One, I grew up watching the Halloween franchise way more than a child ever should, probably. But the comparison between like Michael Myers and the Boogeyman, and how it was this kind of like mythical, like nobody really wanted to believe that that's who he was and what he could do. Then there's also the Boogeyman movies, where it's like the same idea of people having these nightmarish ideas that no one wants to believe is real. And then in Ankle Snatcher, it is very much that same concept of this nightmarish thing that happens or exists, and nobody wants to either acknowledge that it does and that it can cause harm, or they just don't understand what it is. And so that's what this short story was saying. What it was about was this nightmarish boogeyman concept. And I think it was done really well, and I loved reading it. Super short, super quick, and 5 stars from me for this one. Now I am on to number 3, which is It Waits in the Woods by Josh Malerman. Here we go. I just finished It Waits in the Woods, and I have a sleepy kitty with me because he's actually being pleasant rather than his usual demon self. I actually like to call him an ankle biter, or I mean, I guess in the spirit of the creature feature, he is my own ankle snatcher, because he likes to eat my feet when I'm not paying attention to him. So now he's napping with me and it's great. Back to It Waits in the Woods. I am giving this story 4 stars. It was very interesting. The story is about a young girl who goes missing, and her parents blame her sister for not watching her when she ends up getting taken. And the sister, Brenda, begins to wonder if the myth of the creature that lives in the woods might actually be not a myth, but be the reason that her sister went missing. So she packs up all of her recording gear because she, I guess, makes movies and like home films. I'm not quite sure what level, but she has all these like cameras and microphone equipment. So she packs everything up and leaves without telling anyone, which is questionable decisions. But anyway, she goes into the woods to look for her sister and or find out what happened to her, which I think she said it was 3 years that she was missing, so that's quite a long time to be going out, but I might have misunderstood. Anyway, yeah, so she goes into the woods and she is gonna find out what her sister was up against. So it's very weird, very interesting. I liked how it ended, and it's weird. It's a creature feature, so it's exactly what I would have expected from something like this. So yeah, I really liked it, and it was a quick read. Again, all of these are very quick. I think the whole thing altogether was maybe like 30 to 40 minutes at like a 3 times speed listening, so that was nice. So yeah, I have now read 3 of the 6 creature features, and I am excited to move on to the next one, which is In Bloom by Paul Tremblay, and I'm about to lose my cuddle buddy, so that's sad. But moving on to the next creature feature. Okay, so I did not end up doing updates in between all of these, but I have now finished all 6 of the creature features. So I think I did updates for the first 3. So the 4th one was In Bloom by Paul Tremblay, and this story did not work for me. I didn't love it. I gave it 3 stars because I didn't hate it, but it was weird. It was about like a toxic algae that caused people to hallucinate, I think, and I'm honestly not quite sure what was going on, which is partially why I could not rate it very high, because what I did understand was kind of interesting, but there was a lot that I would just like could not comprehend, because there were a lot of big words. It was like a lot of big terms that had to do with plants and the environment and ecology, I guess. I don't know. I just really did not get this one, so not a big fan. However, the 5th one was Best of Luck by Jason Mott, and I loved that story. I gave it 5 stars. It was about a man who had a lot of bad things happening to him in the recent years, and he had lost family members, and just like his life was going way downhill. Meanwhile, his like best friend, like good things kept happening to him, and he was kind of grappling with the fact that his life was like going down the toilet and his best friend was thriving. And yeah, it just seemed like his best friend had all the luck in the world, and so they're gonna kind of confront each other about that, and it was really good. The ending was brutal, but honestly, I loved it. So that was a really good time. And then the final one was Big Bad by Chandler Baker, and this one I also loved. I gave this one 5 stars as well. It is about a family who, I guess it's parents and 2 daughters, and the whole time you can tell that there's a weird dynamic between the parents, but you don't really know what's going on. and the little girls don't really know what's going on. And then there's this strange man who knocks on the door and says that he's trying to stay in their Airbnb cottage, and when the guy tells him no, they're not taking anyone, he like keeps coming back, and it's just this weird dynamic. And then you can tell there's something weird happening, but you don't know what it is, and eventually you learn the family's secret of that the mother has an issue, and the family has to then deal with it. And I loved this story. Like, the way I felt like nervous, which I think maybe it was because it involved like the small children. The daughters had a prominent role and were directly affected by a lot of the like stressful things that were happening. And so I felt more stressed out on their behalf. So this one kind of like, I don't know, it just felt a little bit more intense to me. So yeah, I really liked this last one. I thought it was a really strong finish for this collection. And overall, I really enjoyed all 6 of these. Like, I'm glad that I read them. I'd say my least favorite would be In Bloom, for sure. If I had to pick a favorite, I think it would be either between Big Bad, the final one, or Ankle Snatchers. I loved both of them. But I also loved Best of Luck. I don't know how to pick a favorite because I gave all 3 of those 5 stars. So they were all really good in my eyes. And this was a successful read. And the fact that I finished all 6 of them in one day and was able to finish them before my Kindle Unlimited subscription runs out, which I'm gonna miss it, but also it's expensive, and I'll wait until they give me another discount before I can come back. So yeah, I managed to finish the Creature Feature collection, and now I will be moving on to the books that I actually plan to read for this weekend. Yeah, so apparently I made a TBR for this weekend, and then I just threw it all out the window because all the books that I'm reading to start this weekend are books that I didn't actually plan on reading, but that's fine. The next book that I'm starting is Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Caine. This book, I am buddy reading it with Michelle. It was actually sent to me as a gift from Michelle, and so I'm really excited to read this. This fits really well into my I don't know what the heck these books are about weekend, because apparently that's what I did this time, is I just picked a bunch of books that I don't know the plot of to read, so that's fine. I have no idea what this is about, other than I assume someone moves to a lake house or something and bad things happen. That's all I've got, and I'm really excited to read this. I am going to count this as the bonus prompt for something spooky on the cover, which I know maybe is a stretch because it's not exactly like Halloween themed spooky, but I think that this whole vibe is spooky. It's like my favorite color. This whole book is just beautiful in my opinion. But as someone who is not a huge fan of like deep water and things that I could drown in easily, this whole experience of it could be very spooky in my opinion. I do like boating, however this vibe is giving me spooky boating. So even though it might not be like a typical spooky picture or image, I still think that the whole vibe is spooky and creepy. It's just like eerie, I think is a good term for the cover of this book. But yes, so I am excited to read this, and I have no idea what to expect, but I've heard really, really good things about Rachel Caine. The whole reason that I even wanted this book is because I heard so many people talking about how good these books are, and so I want to give them a try and see how it goes. To my actually planned TBR for this weekend. I have started reading Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. Again, I went into this book not knowing a single thing that was going to happen other than it had something to do with a dog of bones, and that's why it fits into the prompt that I picked. So, I am now 26% into this book. I have the ebook and the audio, and I'm gonna be honest, it is really hard for me to keep going through this. I can't tell what it is. That's just like, I don't know. My brain is not like attaching to this story. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm struggling to get through this right now. From what I understand, the main character Mara is a princess, and her sisters have both been married off for political gain of their kingdom to the prince of another kingdom. The first sister married the prince and then died, and there's no way of knowing for sure how she died or what killed her, but there may have been foul play. Then, because the sister died before giving the prince a child, the next sister in line was then married off to the same prince, and now she is married to the prince and is trying to bear children for him. However, the problem is that she keeps having miscarriages, and the one child that she did have died very, very young. I would say within a year of her being born. So Mara is on a journey to essentially try to like save her sister, save her family from this prince and what's going on. She is in search of this dust wife person who it sounds like is the equivalent of like a witch slash, I don't know, person who has knowledge of ways to cast spells and make things happen. So she goes and asks the first dustwife that she meets if she can help her sister at all, because the whole drama with like basically her sister is in danger of like dying in the position that she's in, but there's no way to get her out of that situation without making the whole kingdom suffer because of the political arrangement for the marriage and all the stuff that's like, it's just a really rotten situation. And so Mara is looking for solutions that she can help save her sister and also not sacrifice the whole kingdom in the meantime. She's on a mission now to find a way to kill the prince without implicating anybody else in his murder, I guess. It's starting to pick up a little bit more because where I am at, I'm at chapter 7, which is 26%, and like she is now meeting with a really powerful dust wife that's supposed to be able to help her more. And so I'm hoping that things pick up a little bit more, but up until now, I just have really struggled with wanting to keep going and with paying attention. So I don't know how this is going to go. And I'm not sure if it's just like my brain is not comprehending enough to like really appreciate the story or what this is, but gonna keep going for now, and we'll see and hope that I can get more into this because I really want to like this, but so far I'm like not quite there yet. Okay, so I am at 35% of Nettle and Bone, and I'm DNFing at this point. I have tried so hard, but like my brain is incapable of understanding what the heck I am reading, and I am listening and reading and I still am so lost. Like my brain can just not connect right now. And I can't tell if it's just like a weird funk that I'm in for right now that I can't read this, but like I am not enjoying myself. I am not understanding what's happening. Mara met with the dust wife and is in the market trading her, I don't even know, trading for something, but I'm not even sure what she's getting out of it. And then they start talking about teeth. I'm very confused. It is just like way over my head or something, because like it's not processing for me. So I am going to DNF rather than try to force myself through this and get more confused and hate myself. So I am going to DNF this. And I didn't even make it to 50%, but like I don't even care. I was trying to push myself to 50%, but I can't do it. So I'm gonna soft DNF this as like I may revisit this one day and give it another shot, because I'm not like opposed to the idea of it. I just cannot understand what's happening. So I'm gonna soft DNF this, and maybe one day I will come back. But for now, it's done. I'm sorry. And T. Kingfisher, if I ever try to read this again, like it's gonna be like a last chance, because this is the second T. Kingfisher book I've read, and it's just I'm not enjoying it. So that's unfortunate. However, it means I get to move on to another book that I'm hopefully more excited for. So let's do that. And speaking of books that I'm going to move on to so that I am not reading this one anymore, the next book I am going to start is We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix, because I have the audio that's due in a couple of days, and I want to try to get through this before I have to give my loan back to Libby. I have the physical copy anyway, so it's okay, but I want to finish this book this weekend, so I'm going to start on that one next, and I am just hoping that this goes better, but I have it on good faith that this book is really great. So I am so excited to read it. Let's just get started. Okay, so I am back with an update on Stillhouse Lake. So I finished reading this and I am giving this 5 stars. I loved this story. I didn't know what to expect going into it, but I genuinely loved everything that happened in this. It was dark, it was intense, and I don't know, like I was just like eating it up. Like it was so good. I did not know going in that this was going to be like an under the table WITSEC witness protection type of story, but this follows Gina Royal's family. So Gina's husband Melvin is arrested for murder and like brutal torture and murder of a number of young women, and he would like take them to a lake and weigh them down so that they sink and stay there until people find them. Well, Gina had no idea this was happening, and she shows up because someone crashed their car into their garage, which then revealed her husband's workshop, basically, where he murdered these women. And Gina didn't know this was happening, but the rest of the world doesn't believe her. The rest of the world thinks this woman could not have been so blind that she didn't know that her husband was killing people, so she must be an accessory. So Gina is accused and goes through the process, but she is acquitted. And so from what we understand as the reader, like, she seems to be telling the truth, that she genuinely does not have any involvement. She didn't know this was happening, but she is now paying the price of the rest of the world not believing her and thinking that she has something to do with it. So she gets death threats, and like her children get death threats, and basically the online world of bullying and harassment and things like that, stalkers, becomes very, very prevalent for her. And so she has to basically hide with her children to keep them safe from all the crazy people out there. So then the majority of the story follows her in her new identity as Gwen Proctor, and she moves into a house on Stillhouse Lake, and basically another murder happens very similar to what her husband had done. And so people start to connect some dots, and she gets into a lot of trouble and has to work really hard to, one, convince people that she's not murdering people, and two, she has to decide who to trust, because she is like super paranoid and has no idea who to trust, because I mean, she was married to a murderer and had no idea. So she's just in this mindset of like, I don't know who to trust. I am paranoid. She has so many protocols in place for her and her kids to keep them safe, but obviously they are not fully safe, and the past starts to catch up to them, and they have to figure out what's going on, and she has to try to keep her family safe. And I loved this story. I thought her as a mother, she was genuinely doing everything she could to protect her kids, and I thought that was beautiful. The kids were their own characters. I feel like it's so easy for children to be like an accessory in a story where they just like exist to make it look like a family, but I feel like in this story, the kids really did play a part, because they were also affected by everything that their father had done, and they were very young when it all happened, and so they were, you know, changing their identities multiple times during like their school years. So they're still in school and dealing with all this, and I think that was really meaningful to include the kids, not the kids' perspectives, because we didn't really get their perspective, but to see how they are impacted, and the mom having to try to understand where her children are coming from and what they're experiencing, and trying to see it through their eyes. That was just like really nice to me. I really appreciated that, and I think the book was written super well. There were some elements that were kind of predictable that you could see coming a little bit, but I also feel like the majority of it, just like, it felt like it worked naturally. And so I really loved this book, and I'm giving it 5 stars, and I will absolutely be continuing the series, because I believe there's like 5 or 6 books in this series. So I'm really excited to move to the other ones. I don't know when that will be, when I'll end up reading them, but I fully intend on moving on to the next one, because this one does end in a way that really propels you into what's going to come in the second book. So I'm excited for that, and this was such a good read, and it was not like ghost spooky, but it was very dark and eerie, and I really liked that. So it fit perfectly in with the vibe of the weekend, and yeah, I loved this book. Okay, we have come to the end of another incredible Halloweekend weekend, and although my weekend did not go as I had anticipated in the first place, I did not read some of the books on my TBR, but I read ones that weren't, so it was a weird weekend. But let's just review really quick. First, I started off reading all 6 of the Creature Feature collection on KU before my free trial ran up, and I had 3 5-star reads, 2 4-star reads, and a 3-star. So overall, pretty successful. The fact that the one that I liked the least was only 3 stars, not terrible. I would probably even consider reading longer versions if the authors were to like expand their stories. Some of them I probably would even read more of because I thought they were really good. But following the creature feature collection, I started my buddy read of Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Kane, buddy reading this with Michelle, and I really loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. I thought that it was really interesting, and the like under the table witness protection theme, like, I don't know, I really love those stories. And maybe that comes from like my childhood of watching Mary-Kate and Ashley in Our Lips Are Sealed when they go into witness protection. Fantastic throwback movie for anybody who has never seen it. It is hilarious. Anyway, following Stillhouse Lake, I read the ebook of Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher, and I DNF'd it at like 35%. I just don't even know what to say about this one. I don't think it was a bad book. I thought the concept was really interesting, but for some reason it was not working for me. My brain was not computing. Like, I don't even understand why it was happening. But like that whole day, I was trying so hard to read and it just wasn't happening. I had no idea what was going on, and I still can't tell you what that book is really about, other than there's like a bone dog that she names Bone Dog. I got nothing else. Like, I thought I understood, or at least I understood like why she was doing things. I understood the foundation of like Mara trying to accomplish things so that she can save her sister from the prince. I understand that. I have no idea what path she was going on to solve that problem. I just don't understand. So hopefully one day I will try this again and it'll be more successful, but this time just did not work, and I just could not keep trying to force myself to read something that was not working. And then finally I moved on to We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. This was one of my most anticipated reads for this weekend, and I didn't even get to finish it. So I didn't do a like end of book wrap up for this because I didn't finish it this weekend. I got about halfway through and I am thoroughly enjoying myself. This book is so good and so interesting, but I just did not have the time to finish this book. Now my audiobook is due on the first day of HalloWeekend week 4. So I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna finish this book for weekend 4 and hoping that I can finish it in time before my audiobook gets taken away from me. But I still have the physical, so it's fine. It is what it is. But I am really looking forward to finishing this next weekend because it's really good, and I am sad that I did not get to finish it. However, the fact that I finished the 6-part creature feature and Stillhouse Lake and got part of the way through Nettle and Bone and halfway through this, like, I'm content with the work that I did this weekend. And if I had not even tried to read Nettle and Bone, I probably would have finished this book. But it's okay. I don't feel like I wasted my time with Nettle and Bone because I do feel like I got a good idea of the foundation of the story, and one day maybe I will pick it back up. But yeah, so that is my wrap up for this. I'm pretty content with what I did get done this weekend, even though I didn't get to my last book, which was There's No Way I'd Die First by Lisa Springer. That one I started during week 2 and I meant to finish it during week 3 and I just didn't get to it. It's fine. I will get to it next weekend, hopefully. And if not, I still have weekend 5. So we'll see. We'll see. I will get there. I know I will. But now I also have We Sold Our Souls to add to the list. So you know what? It's fine. That's a problem for weekend 4, Monica, not a problem for right now. On top of that, I also participated in sprints a few times, and I went to my high school's football game. It was senior night, and even though I didn't know any of the seniors, it was also alumni night for the marching band, and I got to go back and see my old band director, and the team did not win. It was pretty sad. They lost in like the last minute and a half, but it's fine because we didn't win very much when I was in high school either. And then on Sunday, I did a half day at the Renaissance Fair, getting to see their new Halloween show, and that was so much fun. And so I just had a really busy, jam-packed weekend. And I'm proud of the books that I did get through in my free time. So that is a successful weekend in my books. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out on my future videos, but also make sure that you are subscribed to Lexi and all of the co-hosts for HalloWeekend, as well as Michelle, because she is the best buddy reading partner. Make sure you subscribe because everybody puts out such incredible content and you do not want to miss their videos. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or maybe you plan on reading them down the road. Let me know that too. I am so happy to hear when other people are reading the books that I am reading. But with that, we are done with HalloWeekend Week 3, and I will see you next time for HalloWeekend Week 4. Bye!